The Israeli-Palestinian conflict entered a critical stage today as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a stark ultimatum to Hamas, the militant group that controls Gaza. At the heart of the escalating tension lies the fate of dozens of Israeli hostages, captured during Hamas's unprecedented attack on Israeli soil last October. Netanyahu's demand, the unconditional release of all hostages by noon this Saturday, February 15th. The ceasefire, intended as a stepping stone toward a broader resolution, stipulated a phased release of hostages in exchange for Israeli concessions, including the release of Palestinian prisoners. Hamas announced an indefinite postponement of the hostage release earlier this week, citing alleged Israeli violations of the ceasefire. The group claims that Israel has not upheld its end of the agreement, pointing to incidents of shelling and gunfire in Gaza. The delay has ignited outrage in Israel, particularly among the families of the hostages, who have been enduring an agonizing wait for their loved ones' return. The recent confirmation of 86-year-old Shlomo Mansour's death, the oldest hostage held by Hamas, has only served to intensify the anguish and anger. Netanyahu's ultimatum marks a significant escalation in the conflict, raising the specter of another devastating round of violence in the region. "If Hamas does not return our hostages by Saturday noon," Netanyahu declared, his voice hardening with resolve, "the ceasefire will end, and the IDF will return to intense fighting until Hamas is finally defeated." His words, broadcast live across the nation, were met with a mix of apprehension and grim determination. Netanyahu's ultimatum is not an empty threat. He has ordered the Israeli Defense Forces to be on high alert, ready to launch a full-scale military operation should Hamas fail to comply with his demand. Images of tanks and troops massing along the Gaza border underscore the seriousness of the situation. The prevailing sentiment is one of frustration and impatience, with many viewing the ceasefire as a failed experiment that has only emboldened Hamas. Netanyahu's tough stance has received unwavering support from U.S. President Donald Trump, a steadfast ally of Israel. If the hostages are not released by the deadline, Trump warned in a statement released by the White House, all hell is going to break out. Trump's words, echoing the sentiment of many within Israel, have drawn criticism from some quarters for potentially inflaming an already volatile situation. Critics argue that Trump's hawkish stance undermines diplomatic efforts and increases the risk of a wider conflict. Trump has reportedly exerted pressure on Egypt and Jordan, key regional players, to use their influence on Hamas to secure the hostages' release. Hamas, for its part, has remained defiant in the face of Netanyahu's ultimatum. The group, designated as a terrorist organization by Israel, the United States, and several other countries, has rejected the ultimatum, denouncing it as a provocation. Hamas maintains that it is committed to the ceasefire agreement but insists that Israel must also uphold its end of the bargain. "We will not be dictated to by threats and ultimatums," a Hamas spokesperson declared in a televised address. "Our commitment to the ceasefire is contingent upon Israel's full adherence to its terms." The group claims that the recent Israeli shelling and gunfire in Gaza constitute a clear violation of the ceasefire. Hamas has also criticized what it perceives as insufficient aid flow into Gaza, arguing that Israel is intentionally hindering the delivery of essential supplies. The lack of trust between the two parties, further eroded by years of conflict and mistrust, makes finding a peaceful resolution all the more challenging. The escalating tensions between Israel and Hamas have sent shockwaves through the international community, raising fears of a wider conflagration that could engulf the entire region. The United Nations, along with many world leaders, has expressed deep concern over the deteriorating situation, urging both sides to exercise restraint and seek a peaceful resolution. "We are deeply troubled by the recent escalation of violence and the deteriorating humanitarian situation in Gaza," stated a spokesperson for the UN Secretary-General. The international community's concern is not unfounded. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a long-standing and intractable issue, has a history of sparking regional instability. The potential for the current crisis to spiral out of control, drawing in other regional actors, is a very real and alarming prospect. The lives of dozens of hostages hang in the balance, along with the fragile peace that has held, albeit tenuously, for the past 3 weeks. The coming hours will be critical in determining whether this crisis will be resolved through diplomacy or descend into another cycle of violence and bloodshed.